Okay, welcome to episode 9, Princeton Makes podcast. I'm your host, Zohar Lavi-Hasson, as always, talking to you from our lovely space at Princeton Makes at Princeton Shopping Center. This is an artist cooperative. We are about 37 artists today or something like that, and we have a store. In the front of the store, you can buy our art. In the back of the store, we have about 15 studios, and we have some more in the basement. So you can come, shop, talk to artists, and have fun. Today we are hosting Danyelle Kessler. Hi, Danyelle.
Hi, Zohar.
Good morning. I appreciate you getting out of bed at 7 something to be here.
Very close to 8.
Very close to 8. And yes, so that's great, because as we're going to talk soon, that's not the type of person that you are. But before that, you are the Artist of the Month at Princeton Makes.
In June, yes.
In June, yeah, and together with
Veronica Foreman.
So we are here to talk a little bit about your creative life. Let's start with just what kind of art do you make?
Well, thank you for having me, Zohar.
Oh, my
and I make greeting cards. I make handmade greeting cards from paper and using all sorts of mixed media techniques. I try to duplicate other art that I see and make it card-sized.
So how many greeting cards have you made over the years?
In 17 years, I've made a lot of greeting cards. That's a hard one because when I started, the idea was, first of all, I didn't make cards when I started. I scrapbooked. I scrapbooked my children's childhood. Wow. I made it up to about 7 and 15 for my daughter. 15 for my daughter, and I'm still, my son, a little backlogged. But that's what I started doing. And it was a group activity, and it was a way to make friends. And then card making sort of spun off of that. And I was sending cards, tons of cards to our entire family. But I wasn't really selling them. I wasn't monetizing my art at all. Yeah. I ran a blog for 8 years when I lived in Alaska. Part of the time in Alaska, I ran a blog for 8 years, and I just published techniques that I was doing, and I would share with other card makers.
So the blog was about making cards?
The blog was about making cards. It was called Hang Nails and Paper Cuts, you know, it's a kitschy name, but that's always what I ended up with, was ugly nails and paper cuts.
And so you told people how to make cards. That was the essence.
I shared techniques, as most crafters do. When you find something new, you're just excited to share it with everyone who does what you do. So when I would see a technique, I would try to duplicate it, and then I would freely share that. Yeah. And I shared all my designs, basically. And then it kind of came to a point where it was ownership. Like, are you using images that belong to someone else to create art? And that's very much what rubber stamping is. You're using an image that you purchase and you're duplicating it. But as long as you do it by hand and you're not mass producing it, it's generally understood that you may do so. And
so you started thinking about
I started thinking
selling.
About ownership of it and what my intellectual property means to me. And I think I'm more leaning towards the craft side of things, which is to share everything. Copy and share everything is a term used. It's CASE is the acronym. And it means copy and share everything. And amongst rubber stampers, this is pretty much the norm.
Can you say what rubber stampers, what's a rubber stamp?
A rubber stamp is a wood-mounted image on a rubber block, and you ink it and then you stamp it on paper or whatever your substrate is.
Which you use a lot.
Yes.
So there became an issue of sharing and copying, and you just want to say, everybody feel free to copy me, and I feel free to copy everybody else.
Yes, but everybody doesn't necessarily feel that way. I've never stepped on anybody's toes, but I have heard of some of my crafter friends have had their hands slapped for making images, reproducing things. There was a Princeton bumper sticker going around for a while. It had Prince's face.
Of course. I
And
love that
TON.
one. I know.
But I heard through the grapevine that was not allowed. And that
so you used that, and
the estate had said, do not use that image in that way. And I knew that image belonged to an artist in Princeton because I bought the t-shirt from him. And that's what spurred me thinking, I have to do something different with my art. I have to do something unique to set it apart. But I don't necessarily have to cover it all in watermarks and say it's mine, 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 because ultimately it's not totally my idea. I draw inspiration from so many places. It seems fair to copy and share everything. And that's sort of my logo. If it's for me, you can't take it away. If it's mine, it's mine. I think there's some amount of acceptable use, but you have to be careful. If I see something that you've done and I say, oh, look at that interesting piece of pottery. I wonder if I could make that into a card with a crafty saying about clay. I have to think about where I get the image from to make my card, even though the card is completely my composition. The image does not belong to me.
Right.
It's your image. So I guess the idea is in art is to take it and make it something unrecognizable, and then
because everybody is inspired by everybody.
By somebody else.
You can't
exactly.
make that go away. We are humans in this world. We see art and we, copy.
Indeed.
Or copy or inspired. You can say it in two different ways that sound different. How do you feel about it now? Because it sounds like you had some kind of a journey.
I feel like I've carved a niche for myself and that my work is unique. And as long as I don't make comparisons or try to imitate anyone else, I think I'm good. I give credit for the stamps that I do use. I give credit on the back. There's a angel stamp that tells you the company that actually made the stamp. Oh. But usually my goal is to just have an image and do something different with it. And sometimes that means staying away from things like Instagram and Facebook and giving my own ideas time to flow. And invariably, I will make something. And I am not the only person that thought of that.
For sure.
I will quickly find out that I am not the only person that thought that this composition would be great. So I go with it. Great minds think alike.
Yes. I bet you feel fine with it.
Yeah.
These days. Good. And are you still sharing how to make cards? And
I don't share techniques so much. The new medium of Instagram is not very talkative like blogs were.
Right.
In blog, when I did my blog, I would tell people step by step with photos how I did something, all the supplies that I used, and it was very helpful. I now find that most people don't take that long to read something. They won't give you 7 minutes of attention to read 3 paragraphs.
No. But they see pictures and little snippets of videos.
Pictures and videos are where it's at.
You're actually good with Instagram.
Yeah, I try to make my footprint on Instagram my artwork as opposed to my personal life. I'm always in conflict. I don't like the idea of social media. I don't like I like that I remember a time before it, and I still know how to go places with an atlas. I don't need maps. I still know how to tell time. I can write in cursive. These are things that are important.
Do you write on your cards?
Yes.
In cursive?
I do write in cursive. I use a Cricut machine.
What's that?
That's a die cutting machine, but it also does handwriting on cards. You can insert a pen and it will write.
What? You have to show me that.
Yes.
So what's your inspiration? Like, what are you inspired by?
Oh, I draw inspiration from everywhere. Sometimes when I'm in my head and going down the rabbit hole of the internet, I'll find a funny meme or a really hilarious concept and I'll turn it into a card. There probably is a rubber stamp to say everything that you ever wanted to say, and I'm usually drawn to the really sarcastic ones. It almost physically hurts for the card to not have sarcasm. It's like, oh.
Can you give an example or two? Your favorite one?
Maybe one of my first sarcastic stamps that I came across when my kids were young was here's to hoping your birthday, something like here's to your birthday and we hope you gather and that it's not an intervention. And in my family, where we have experienced a great deal of alcoholism, I thought that was hilarious. I was like, this is the perfect saying for so many birthday cards. And I sent it out to like family members and it was not well received.
Oh.
Believe it or not, like nobody wants to laugh about alcoholism, but I thought that that stamp was the funniest thing. So you win some, you lose some.
Yes.
Another one was, I like to cook with wine and sometimes I even put it in the food. Which kind of describes me in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like 1 glass of wine, you get dinner, 2 glasses of wine. I'm not really sure what I did in here, but eat it anyway.
Yeah. But who cares? Because you drank so much wine.
Are you hungry or not?
Yeah.
So I do enjoy the snarky stamps. You do have to be a little cognizant of people's feelings, but I think it's basically understood in my family and in my group of friends and peers that I am the comedian. Okay. I am definitely the comedian. So
you find a good concept, you buy a rubber stamp, make some cards.
I coordinate paper, I decide the size of the card. Usually I can get two cards out of one piece of paper, and so I usually make duplicates. Everything that's in this store for sale, I also have that same card at home.
But in the store, there's like just one of everything?
There's similar ones, but they're not duplicates.
Oh, wow.
Similar, but not exactly identical. And that's sometimes because of the lack of materials. Sometimes I make a really great card, and then there's no more of this rhinestone to be found. And I'm not going to go through too many hoops to get it, because sometimes you want something really badly on eBay and they know it and they totally fleece you for it. But sometimes it's about supplies, like I didn't have that color anymore, so now I'm doing this card in this color. I didn't have these beads anymore, so let's trade for feathers. There's so many different paper crafting techniques out there. It's amazing. I really do love some of the fun ones, like using shaving cream and ink to make your paper look swirly, to make it look like alcohol inks. Using alcohol inks in weird ways to make cards that kind of have this real organic feel to them. It's just every single day I am making a card or sitting there straightening the space, looking for inspiration to make a card. But I'm past the point of having to go out and buy rubber stamps. I've amassed a collection.
Oh, okay.
I have thousands.
I want to see your studio.
Yeah. My husband would like to see it get a little cleared out too.
I'm sure. So tell us about your day.
Typical day. Like I said, I'm not a morning person, so this is very lovely outside at 8:30, but I would still be getting about 2 or 3 more hours of sleep. I do stay up late. That is where I find my inspiration. It's not the healthiest thing, but sometimes at midnight, when you burn the midnight oil, something comes to you. I'm used to working like that because, like, when the children were young, it's the only me time that you get is.
But wait, how did you get to midnight? It starts from 11:30 when you get out of bed.
When I get out of bed, I usually watch the news and drink a cup of coffee. Then I go check the garden and see who's digging up all the things that I planted.
You have a nice garden.
Yes, give it a good water. I ride my bike. Up until a month ago, I was swimming, but now I'm playing hooky. I haven't been to the swim class in about a month, but normally I would get out and try to get my fitness in. I ride my bike up and down the canal. I sometimes take my bike down to Lambertville and ride the canal up into Washington Crossing Park. So this is the time of year for it because I definitely go into a hibernation period starting in the late fall. And then you don't see me like outside.
All right, and then when is the making?
The making is in the afternoon and into the late evening. I don't necessarily have to cook every day. We're all adults in my household now, so.
Where do you do your cards? Where do you make them?
I have a studio at home.
You have a room dedicated?
I have a craft room at home, fully functional, and.
You like working there?
I do, but sometimes I like the camaraderie of Princeton Makes.
Yes.
I passed this go around on a studio. I needed more time to think about it, and that's just the kind of person I am. I have to do things at my own pace. Yeah. But I passed on it, and
so we can explain that we recently added 4 studios.
Yes.
And people had the opportunity to grab a studio, but you passed.
I passed, okay. Yes. But I do like working here.
Yeah.
And, it's just enough socialization for me.
Yeah.
I really am an introvert.
Oh, no, you're not.
I am a low-key introvert. I really do enjoy my own company.
Okay, that's good.
During the week, I'm completely alone. My husband's at work. My son's usually in school, not for the summer, but he's in school. So my days are mine. Yeah. To explore, and that's where I get ideas. I go out in nature, I see something funny or hear something ironic, and I'm like, that would make a great card. And people send me tons of stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, whenever, several people here have sent me an email, and they're like, hey, this would make a good idea for a card. And when I come across a stamp, I will be on top of it.
Yeah. What about making your own stamps?
Yes, so that's a process. And I have not been very successful at it. But
have you tried?
Yes, I have tried. I have not put everything into it. The funny thing is, the first time I did it, it didn't occur to me that the image is reversed when you stamp it. So I carved my name, which is Love by Hand, my artistic name. I carved that into a rubber block. And then when you stamped it, it said it backwards.
Of course. So how did you get to Princeton Makes?
I heard about it from Marlon. Marlon is a friend I went to school with. We've known each other for a while, but we had lost touch for a good chunk of time. And then I saw that he was an artist and that he had a showing in New York. And I went, and I let him know that I was doing artwork as well, but I wasn't calling myself an artist at the time. When I got in touch with him again, he told me about Princeton Makes, and I came to the opening. I came to the opening, I briefly came in, I purchased something, and I left. And then a few months later, I asked Marlon about it, and I reached out to Jim Levine. And I'm a native Princetonian, so I wanted to be a part of it. In the year and a half that I've been here, we've really grown by leaps and bounds. Yeah. We really have.
We have.
It's kind of spiraled into something very awesome.
I agree. It is awesome. And we have lots of greeting cards.
We do. We have greeting, and
we are the greeting
artwork
cards
that we have that's on the walls. Some people have greeting cards for that too, and that makes it definitely more attainable for me. I think I own most people's greeting cards.
I think we're the greeting cards empire
of the 08540. Yes.
And if you are looking for a greeting card, don't go anywhere else. That's what I'm
Come to Princeton Makes.
Yes. Are you ready to move on to our rapid questions part?
Sure.
All right. What is your favorite artist of all time?
Van Gogh.
What is your favorite material to create with?
Oh, watercolor paper.
What music or podcast do you like to listen to when you create?
My musical tastes are really varied, from classical to hardcore rap. But the last album that I actually purchased with my own money was Purple Rain. And everything after that has kind of been trash. Just kidding.
And you're saying Purple Rain from many years ago. You didn't go to Princeton Records and buy.
I bought Thriller and Purple Rain from the Princeton Record Exchange 100 years ago.
100 years ago. Look at this. Prince came up in our podcast twice. That's amazing. Okay.
He's the man.
He's the man. He's the prince. What space do you feel the most creative in?
Nature. When I'm out on a hike or a bike and my mind is really open and I'm, going through my process, which is just constantly getting to know yourself and self-care and being good to you. And so then after I finish that for the day, I come home and I feel accomplished and I'm ready to start creating. I go into my room and turn on some music, and that's pretty much a wrap for the evening.
What is your worst artistic nightmare?
Sounding sleepy on a podcast with Zohar. And sometimes when you do a card, at the very end, your hand will have some ink and you will smudge it at the very end. And so I found a stamp that had a disclaimer on it, and I stamped that on the back of all of my cards, that this is something made by hand. It has smudges, splotches, little mistakes here and there, but it doesn't detract from its beauty.
One word that describes how you feel when you're creating.
Free. I feel like there's no ceiling. I can go anywhere with it.
Okay, one word.
Oh, one word.
It was a perfect word.
Free.
So we're gonna start wrapping up, but before that, tell us your website information, Instagram, whatever.
I'm on Instagram at Love by Hand, and the hashtag Love by Hand Danyelle.
We're gonna have the link also in the show notes. So if you wanna buy one of your cards, you have to come to Princeton Makes, or you have a store online.
All of my cards are in Princeton Makes. I have not moved online.
You're the Artist of the Month with Veronica, and you have an artist talk.
Yes, it's on Saturday, June 24th at 6:30 p.m. Everybody is welcome to come.
So thank you so much for coming, Danyelle.
Thank you for having me.
RD is our graphic designer, and our theme music is by Renata Pugh. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, and also if you have any specific questions to one of the artists that we talked to on this podcast, we have a new email address that I just opened yesterday. It's called princetonmakespodcast@gmail.com. So you can email and I will see your email and I will reply. Also, let us know if you want to add your email address to our mailing list, because we have a lot of events and fun stuff happening. Also, we're going to have a party June 9th at 6 to 12. It's going to be a night party. Everybody's welcome. More details will follow. We are located at the Princeton Shopping Center at Princeton, New Jersey, and we're open Thursday to Sunday, 10 to 6. I'm Zohar Lavi-Hasson, and thank you very much for listening. See you next time.
See you next time.
Woo-hoo-hoo.